Picture this: a husband abandons his pregnant wife for a rich woman and her glamorous life. He leaves her with nothing, no money, no support, no future. 11 years later, karma doesn't just hit him, it obliterates his perfect new family forever. This is the brutal true story of betrayal, silence, and the revenge that waited a decade. Buckle up. Bitter revenge starts right now. Sarah was 28 weeks pregnant the first time she noticed Ryan pulling away. He used to be home by 6:30 every evening. He'd walk through the door of their small 2-bedroom townhouse in suburban Charlotte, North Carolina, drop his keys on the entry table, kiss her on the forehead, and immediately put both hands on her belly. "How's my little man doing today?" he'd ask with that same goofy grin. For the last 10 weeks though, he'd started coming in after 9 p.m. The excuses were always reasonable: late client presentation, team drinks after a big pitch, last-minute deadline. Sarah told herself it was just the pressure of his new promotion. They had been married 5 years. Ryan was a senior account executive at a mid-sized digital marketing agency in uptown Charlotte. Sarah worked remotely as a senior financial analyst for a mid-tier logistics company. Between them they pulled in about $165,000 a year, comfortable, not flashy. They had saved a solid down payment and bought the townhouse 2 years earlier. Life felt predictable in the best way. When the pregnancy test came back positive, Ryan had actually dropped to his knees and cried. He called both sets of parents within the hour. He downloaded every baby app, bought a Doppler so he could hear the heartbeat at home, even started watching birthing videos just in case. Sarah felt completely safe. Cherished. Protected. Then the slow drift began. First it was the phone always screened down. Then a new passcode on his MacBook. Then the cologne he never wore before. Something expensive and woody. Sarah tried to convince herself it was pregnancy paranoia. But one Thursday night she couldn't ignore it anymore. Ryan texted that he had to stay late for a critical client dinner and might crash at a hotel downtown to avoid the 45-minute drive home tired. Sarah said okay, went to bed early. At 2:17 a.m. she woke up to pee and saw his iPad on the nightstand, still unlocked. The Messages app was open. Lauren. Pinned conversation. Last message, 41 minutes ago. Can't stop thinking about tonight. Come back soon. I'm still wearing your shirt, Blackheart. Below were photos. Ryan and a stunning woman in her late 20s, blonde, perfectly highlighted, designer everything, sitting thigh to thigh at a rooftop bar overlooking the city. Another photo, her manicured hand high on his leg under the table. Then voice memos. Sarah tapped one. Lauren's voice, low and teasing. "You're not going home tonight, right? Tell her you're stuck at the office again. I want you here. All night." Ryan's reply, text. "I'm working on it, babe. She's starting to ask questions. But I can't just disappear yet." Sarah scrolled up. The affair had started 7 months earlier when Lauren joined the agency as a senior creative director. She came from serious money. Her father owned a chain of luxury car dealerships across the Carolinas and Georgia. Ryan had written things Sarah never imagined he could write. "You're the life I actually want to live. Sarah's sweet but she's basic. You're on another level. Once the baby comes I'll figure out an exit plan. I promise." Sarah didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She sat on the bathroom floor in the dark until the sky turned pale blue, then quietly packed a duffel bag, called her older brother in Raleigh, and left before Ryan came home. When Ryan walked in at 4:30 a.m. smelling of expensive perfume and bourbon, he found the townhouse empty except for one sheet of printer paper on the kitchen island. "I know everything. Don't look for me. Don't contact my family. I will raise our child alone. You're free now. Sarah." He called 57 times that night. Texted paragraphs. Begged. Then got angry. Then went silent. Sarah moved back to her parents' house in Raleigh. She told them only the minimum: Ryan and I are separating. It's better this way. Her dad wanted to drive to Charlotte and have words. Her mom cried for days. Sarah stopped them both. No drama. I just want peace for the baby. Ryan didn't chase her long. Within 4 months, he quit the agency and moved into a marketing director role at Lauren's family dealership group. They announced their engagement 5 months later, black tie engagement party at the Charlotte Country Club, photos everywhere on Instagram. Sarah saw one by accident: Ryan in a tailored tux, Lauren in a custom gown, both glowing like they'd won the lottery. Sarah blocked every shared contact. Deleted social media apps. Went completely offline. Her son, Ethan, was born at WakeMed in Raleigh. 5 pounds 9 ounces, small but strong. When the nurse laid him on her chest, Sarah whispered, "It's just us now, little man. We've got this." The first 3 years were brutal. Colic, ear infections, RSV, daycare costs eating half her salary. Sarah took unpaid leave, then went back part-time remote. Every dollar was tracked in a spreadsheet. She moved into a small 1-bedroom apartment near her parents so they could help with childcare. Ryan never sent a dime in child support. Never asked for a photo. Never requested visitation. Sarah heard through a mutual college friend that Lauren had a daughter a year after the wedding, then a son 2 years later. Picture-perfect family. Private preschool. Vacations in Aspen and the Outer Banks. Sarah saw the occasional photo when a relative forgot to block her. She didn't hate Lauren. She hated Ryan. But hate takes energy, and Sarah had none left to waste on hate. She poured it all into Ethan instead. She taught him to read at 4. Enrolled him in free STEM programs at the library. Worked overtime during tax season so she could afford new sneakers every year and a used iPad for school. She never spoke badly about his father in front of him. When Ethan was 8, he asked the question for the first time. "Mom, where's my dad?" Sarah took a slow breath. "Your dad had to move far away for work. He couldn't stay with us. But you have me, Nana, Pop, Uncle Mike, we're your team." He accepted it. For then. Time moved on. Sarah changed jobs twice. Each move came with a small raise. By the time Ethan was 11, she had saved enough for a down payment on a modest 3-bedroom fixer-upper in a decent Raleigh suburb. Nothing fancy, just a yard, good schools, stability. She never remarried. Several men asked her out over the years. She always said the same thing: "I already have my whole world," pointing at Ethan. At 14, Ethan started asking harder questions. He'd seen old wedding photos at his grandparents' house. He'd overheard aunts whispering. One day he Googled his father's name and found him, Ryan Carter, now vice president of marketing at Carter Automotive Group. LinkedIn headshot. TEDx talk. Forbes 30 under 40 mention from years ago. Smiling. Successful. Wealthy. That night Ethan cried in his mom's arms on the couch. "Why did he leave us, Mom?" Sarah held him tight. "Because he chose comfort and money over love and responsibility." "But listen to me very carefully, Ethan. His choice doesn't make you less. It shows who he is. You are growing up kind, hardworking, honest. That's your power. Living better than the person who hurt you, that's the strongest revenge there is." Ethan wiped his face. "Will I ever meet him?" Sarah was quiet a long time. "One day, when you're ready. But not before." She didn't tell him yet, but she had already begun something quietly. A few months earlier she received a certified letter from a Charlotte law firm. Ryan's father had passed away. The man had left a notarized trust. Among the assets was a paid-off 0.8-acre lot in South Park, one of the most desirable neighborhoods in Charlotte. The trust explicitly stated the lot would go to my grandson Ethan Carter, son of Ryan Carter, on his 21st birthday, with the condition it could not be sold or encumbered until he turned 30. Ryan had already filed to contest the trust. Sarah hired a calm, experienced estate attorney in Raleigh. The lawyer's strategy was simple: document everything, delay nothing, wait. Because Sarah understood something Ryan had forgotten. Time is patient. And she had 11 years of it saved up. Ethan turned 15 the year Sarah quietly decided she was done just getting by. For more than a decade she had been the model single mom, organized, disciplined, emotionally even-keeled. She never let Ethan see her break down. She never let him carry the weight of his father's choices. But inside, something had crystallized, not into rage, but into calm, deliberate patience. The trust contest case in Charlotte was still crawling forward. Ryan's attorneys kept filing motions to delay, challenging the validity of every signature, claiming Ryan's father had been unduly influenced by nurses and distant relatives during his final months. Sarah's attorney, Ms. Elena Harper, was the opposite of flashy. She was precise, methodical, and never in a hurry. She responded to every delay with fresh evidence. Medical records proving Ryan's father had full mental capacity when the trust was executed, video of him reading the document aloud to his estate planner, bank statements showing the South Park lot had been purchased outright in cash in 2008, long before Ryan met Lauren. Whenever Ryan's side tried to pressure old family friends or cousins into signing affidavits questioning the grandfather's intentions, Elena already had counterstatements ready. She had quietly obtained text messages, through proper discovery, where Ryan offered one cousin $15,000 to help clarify the old man's state of mind. Nothing criminal, but devastating in a civil trust dispute. At the same time, Sarah began building something else entirely. She started noticing changes in Ryan's public life. The Instagram posts became less frequent. Lauren still uploaded polished family photos, but the energy felt forced. Grateful for these moments under pictures where the smiles didn't quite reach the eyes. Sarah didn't obsessively stalk them, she had a life to live, but she kept one private, anonymous account and checked roughly twice a year. Patterns were obvious. Ryan had launched a high-end pre-owned luxury car division inside the Carter Automotive Group. At first it exploded: Porsche, Range Rover, Mercedes G-Wagons. Influencers, NFL players, tech executives. But the operation was built on debt. Floor plan financing, high-interest lines of credit, massive rent for the premium showroom on South Boulevard. Sarah learned this not through gossip, but through a casual conversation. One of her former co-workers from the logistics company had moved into commercial banking. At a school fundraiser they ran into each other. Over coffee the woman mentioned offhand, Ryan Carter's dealership group is getting flagged, too many 60-plus day delinquencies on the floor plan loans. Sarah didn't press for details. She just stored the information. Ethan, meanwhile, was turning into an unusually focused teenager. Tall, quiet, excellent at math and computer science. He had gotten into a competitive STEM magnet high school on a partial scholarship and started freelancing small coding projects on weekends to help with household bills. Sarah never asked him to contribute, he just started doing it. One evening when he was 16 he walked into the kitchen and put his laptop on the island. "Mom! Look at this." He pulled up a LinkedIn post from 3 months earlier. Ryan had been named to the Charlotte Business Journal's 40 Under 40 list again, this time as an innovator in automotive retail. The article included a photo of him standing in front of a row of gleaming Bentleys, arms crossed, confident smile. Ethan looked at her directly. "He's doing great. Big house in Myers Park. Private school for his kids. Vacations in Vail. And he's never once tried to contact me. Not a single message. Not even on my birthday." Sarah sat down next to him. "How does seeing that make you feel?" Ethan was silent for a long time. Mad, but also empty. Like he's just some guy who happens to have the same last name as me. I don't want his money. I don't want his life. I just want to understand why. Sarah took his hand. "You may never get an answer that feels good. Some people choose themselves every single day. That's who he is. But you're choosing something different. Every day you choose effort, kindness, integrity. That's your power. The best revenge is building a life so solid that his absence becomes irrelevant. Ethan nodded slowly. But if there's ever a chance to take back what Grandpa left for me, I want it. Not for the money. Just so he knows he can't pretend I don't exist. Sarah gave a small, quiet smile. That chance is already in motion. She began bringing him into the process, carefully. She showed him redacted court filings. Explained how trusts and estate law work in North Carolina. Taught him how to read public property records through the Mecklenburg County Register of Deeds website. Ethan, being good with computers, quickly learned to track the parcel history and search for liens or encumbrances on the South Park lot. One Saturday afternoon he burst into the living room. "Mom! The lot is still titled in Grandpa's name." Ryan tried to get a summary judgment to invalidate the trust last month. The judge denied it. Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You've been monitoring the docket?" Ethan grinned. "I set up alerts on the court portal." That was the moment Sarah knew he was ready for more. She instructed Elena to file a motion for partial distribution, requesting that the South Park lot be transferred into an independent trust managed by a neutral fiduciary until Ethan turned 21, with Ryan removed as trustee due to conflict of interest and self-dealing. The motion included new evidence, loan documents showing Ryan had used the lot as collateral for a $2.1 million business line of credit, something he had no legal authority to do. Elena had subpoenaed the records from the bank during discovery. It was a bombshell. The Charlotte probate court finally paid attention. A new judge, known for being tough on executors who abused their position, was assigned. She issued an order requiring Ryan to appear personally and explain why he had pledged trust property without court approval. Ryan showed up at the hearing. Sarah and Ethan did not attend. Elena handled it. But Ethan watched the audio livestream from his bedroom. North Carolina courts had started allowing remote access for non-sensitive hearings. Ryan looked older than his 42 years. Expensive suit, but tired posture. When the judge asked why he had encumbered property that wasn't his to control, he gave a rambling answer about family understanding and temporary bridge financing for the dealership. The judge cut him off. "Mr. Carter, you are the trustee, not the owner. This is a clear breach of fiduciary duty. The court is strongly inclined to remove you as trustee and appoint an independent successor unless you can show cause by the next hearing date." Ryan left the courtroom looking like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. That night, for the first time in 11 years, Sarah's phone rang with a number she had blocked long ago. She let it ring 3 times, then answered. "Sarah?" His voice sounded rough, smaller. She kept her tone neutral. "Speak to my attorney." "Sarah, please. This is about Ethan." She paused. "You remembered you have a son?" Silence. Then quietly. "I messed up. I know I did. I was stupid. Selfish. I thought the money and the lifestyle would fix everything. It didn't. I think about you and Ethan all the time. I need to see him. Just once." Sarah's voice went cold. "You had 11 years to see him. You chose not to. Now you want to see him because a court is about to take something away from you?" "No. Sarah, I'm in real trouble. The dealership is underwater. Lauren's dad is pulling support. If the trust case goes against me, the bank will come after everything." "That's your problem," she said. "Not mine. Not Ethan's." She ended the call. 3 weeks later, Ryan's legal team sent a formal settlement proposal. Immediate withdrawal of all objections to the trust. Transfer of the South Park lot to Ethan on his 21st birthday. $300,000 cash payment to Ethan. In exchange, Sarah would agree not to pursue any claim for back child support, damages, or sanctions. Elena advised Sarah to reject it outright. "Why?" Sarah asked. "Because we can do better. We can get him removed as trustee, have the encumbrance voided, recover interest and sanctions, and possibly force him to repay every dollar he borrowed against the lot. Sarah thought about it for 2 full days. Then she told Elena. Reject it. But send a counter. The counter was clean and merciless. Immediate transfer of the lot into a court-supervised trust for Ethan. Full disclosure of all loans/encumbrances placed on the property. 60% of any profit Ryan derived from using the lot as collateral. A sworn affidavit of apology to be filed with the court and provided to Ethan. Ryan refused. The next hearing was set for 4 months later. And that was when the real damage began. The 4 months leading up to the final hearing felt like watching a slow-motion car crash. Ryan's life began to fracture in stages everyone could see. The bank moved first. The lender that held the $2.1 million line of credit secured illegally against the South Park lot issued a formal demand letter, full repayment within 45 days or they would begin foreclosure proceedings on the collateral. They had already filed a lease pendens notice on the property record, clouding the title and making it impossible for Ryan to refinance or sell anything else quietly. When he couldn't pay, they added him personally as a defendant in a separate breach of contract lawsuit. Lauren's father reacted next. A no-nonsense, third-generation car dealer who had never fully trusted Ryan, he called a closed-door meeting at the family office. Sarah later heard the outline from a former co-worker who still had loose ties to the dealership world. Lauren's dad gave Ryan an ultimatum: resolve the trust litigation within 90 days or be removed from all operational roles in the Carter Automotive Group. The pre-owned luxury division was already losing money, inventory sat unsold, floor plan interest ate profits, and customer foot traffic had dropped sharply after a few bad online reviews about financing practices. Ryan had been using personal credit cards and home equity lines to keep the lights on. Lauren herself pulled away long before anything became public. She stopped posting family photos. Her social media shifted to solo shots with the kids at soccer games, ballet recitals, beach trips, captions full of focusing on what matters and new chapter vibes. Mutual acquaintances quietly mentioned to Sarah's brother that Lauren had consulted a high-profile family law attorney in Charlotte. Divorce papers were being drafted. Ryan tried one final, desperate play. He showed up unannounced at Sarah's house in Raleigh on a Saturday morning in early fall. No suit, no watch, just jeans, a hoodie, and red-rimmed eyes. Sarah's father opened the door, stared at him for 5 full seconds, then stepped aside without a word. Sarah came out onto the front porch. Ethan stood behind her, 17 now, already taller than his father, arms crossed. Ryan looked up at his son. His voice cracked on the first word. Ethan. Ethan didn't move or speak. His face was calm, unreadable. Ryan turned to Sarah. I'm losing it all. The dealership is going under. Lauren's dad is done with me. She's filing for divorce, she wants full custody and the house. If the court takes that lot, the bank will take everything else. My kids, the ones with Lauren, they'll lose their home, their school, everything. Sarah's voice stayed even. You made those choices, Ryan. For 11 years you chose silence. Not one check. Not one call. Not one birthday card. Now you're scared of losing your second family? That's not my responsibility. Ryan dropped to one knee on the porch steps. I was wrong. I was selfish. I thought the money, the status, the new life would make me happy. It didn't. I think about you and Ethan every single day. I kept the hospital photo you sent me the day he was born. I still have it on my phone. I need to know him. Even if it's too late. Ethan spoke then, voice low but clear. If you thought about me every day, why didn't you do anything about it? Ryan had no answer. He just looked down at the concrete. Sarah looked at the man she once loved. Go home, Ryan. Face whatever is coming. Don't come back here. She turned and walked inside. Ethan followed without looking back. The final hearing arrived on a cold December morning. The judge had already reviewed the full file. The loan documents, the lease pendants, the bank's breach of contract filing, 3 affidavits from disinterested parties confirming Ryan had knowingly misrepresented his authority over the trust property. Ryan's attorney tried everything left in the playbook: a last-minute motion to dismiss, character letters from business associates, even a renewed settlement offer of $750,000 cash plus immediate transfer of the lot. The judge denied every request. In a measured 18-minute ruling, she stated: 1. The trust was valid and unambiguous. 2. Ryan had committed repeated and willful breaches of fiduciary duty. 3. He was removed as trustee immediately and permanently. 4. A professional fiduciary firm was appointed successor trustee. 5. The encumbrance on the South Park lot was declared void from inception. 6. The bank was directed to pursue recovery solely from Ryan's personal assets. 7. Ryan was ordered to pay Ethan $1.85 million in damages, lost use of property plus disgorgement of profits he derived plus legal fees plus statutory interest. Ryan sat motionless as the order was read. His lawyer had to touch his shoulder to get him to stand. Within weeks, the dominoes fell. The bank froze his personal and business accounts and began seizing assets: his Range Rover, his watch collection, his share of the marital home equity. Lauren filed for divorce the same week. She kept the Myers Park house, titled in her name, primary custody of both children, and substantial child support that Ryan could no longer pay. The dealership's board removed him entirely. The luxury division was shuttered. The entire group filed for Chapter 11 reorganization 2 months later. Ryan moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in a modest part of Matthews. He sold almost everything he owned just to cover legal bills and basic living expenses. Ethan turned 21 3 months after the ruling. The new trustee transferred the South Park lot into his name with the original restriction: no sale or development until age 30. Ethan and Sarah drove to the property one Saturday afternoon. It was still just wooded land with a small clearing, but it was his clean title, no liens, real value. Ethan stood in the middle of the lot and looked at his mom. "I don't hate him. I don't even feel angry anymore. I just feel nothing." Sarah put her arm around his shoulders. "That's okay. You don't owe him any emotion. You just keep building forward." 2 years later, word filtered back through old mutual contacts: Ryan had suffered a serious heart scare, stress-induced arrhythmia. He was living with his sister in a small town outside Asheville. No visitors. No social media. No flashy cars. Just quiet, expensive solitude. Sarah never reached out. She didn't need anything from him anymore. She had built something far stronger than revenge: a life where her son grew up secure, educated, loved, and never once had to measure his worth by the man who walked away. Ethan finished his computer science degree with honors. Sarah was promoted to director of finance at her company. They renovated the Raleigh house together, added a deck, planted a garden. On weekends they sometimes drove to the South Park lot and talked about what could go there one day. A small rental duplex, a scholarship fund office, something that helped other kids. Every year on his birthday, Ethan lights a single candle, not for Ryan, but for the grandfather he never met, the man who quietly made sure he would never be erased. And somewhere in a small apartment in the mountains, a man in his mid-40s sits alone most evenings, scrolling through old photos on a cracked phone screen. One wedding picture with Sarah, one grainy hospital selfie she had sent the day Ethan was born, and newer ones of Lauren and the kids that now belonged to a different lifetime. He never deletes them. He just looks sometimes. And quietly cries. Karma didn't kill him. It simply removed every single thing he had once chosen over his first family. And left him alone with the clearest possible view of exactly what he had thrown away. That was the story of Sarah and Ethan. A woman who raised her son alone, stayed silent for 11 long years. Then watched karma strip her ex-husband of everything he traded them for. Justice doesn't rush, but when it arrives, it takes everything. If this revenge story shook you, smash that like button. Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss the next soul-crushing karma moment. Comment below right now. Would you forgive him? Or would you let karma finish the job? Next bitter revenge story drops soon. Remember, what you do today comes back tomorrow.